Sat Shri Akal, Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum. Subscribe our channel Cricket Fan Corner for regular live interactive sessions and cricket updates. Thank you.
Hello, Faizan.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes, I actually saw you on Cricket for Us channel. So we did a couple of sessions with Ajit Bhai. He joined us on live sessions. So first of all, welcome, and I saw your channel also, and you have great cricketing knowledge, and saw your video related to the I think so that ICC awards and the moments of the 2020. So that was great. So my first question to you is that how do you see that Pakistan's performance? And you see Misbah as a coach, because his way of sending young players to the press conference, I didn't think that that was a great move or a good gesture, because I expected him to take the responsibility. As I see in Indian cricket also, like our coach Ravi Shastri, when our team loses, he doesn't come to the press conference. He comes when our teams win. So how do you see that?
Yeah, first of all, yeah, thanks very much for that question. It's a very interesting question. Put me on the spot. But yeah, I think Pakistan's performance as a whole was very disappointing, just because, look, I think we showed a little bit of fight, but normally you see Pakistan, as a Pakistani fan, and I'm sure neutrals do, you normally see Pakistan as a bowling side. But actually, I think our bowling let us down. And actually, we were, in a way, a little bit better in the batting side of things. Like, for example, Naseem Shah, as you said, didn't bowl very well. Zafar Ghar didn't bowl that well in the second test. And then that leads me nicely on to your question about sending them both in to, the media, to face the media. And look, I agree with you. It's so wrong to send in youngsters in the first place, but to send someone in who's making their debut in Zafar Ghar, and then to send someone in who is, 17 years old, in Naseem Shah, you're sending in two youngsters, two very inexperienced players who have been hit for, I think, so Zafar Ghar was hit for over 150 runs, and then Naseem Shah was hit for 140 runs that day. Both of them obviously don't want to speak to anyone. They probably want to go back to the hotel and cry because they're so upset about their performance. And, the management, Misbah, says to him, and the Pakistan management say, okay, go on, you can go and answer the questions. And I think maybe cowardly is too harsh, but in a way, it was just very, for me, it's not the right thing to do, is it? If you're the coach, you need to take responsibility. You need to protect your players. So does the captain, Mohammad Rizwan, as well. When a team performs badly, that's what you do. The captain goes in and the team coach goes in, and they say, we're going to make sure that we deflect any criticism from the other players, and we take the criticism and we take the blame. But instead, Pakistan did the opposite, and they sent them in like lambs to slaughter and said, here we go. We don't want any responsibility. You can take all of it. So that was really disappointing to see. And hopefully that doesn't happen again. And, I just think we need to look after our players and nurture them better. And as you said, if Ravi Shastri is doing that for India, again, it's not the right thing, is it? If you're there when you're winning, you need to also be there when you're losing. And you need to stick with your team through thick and thin. And that's what team sports is about, and cricket as a whole.
Yeah.
Yes, because I saw that when we won in England after losing the first two test matches, he came and said this is the best training team I've seen in the last 15 to 20 years. When I think he's ignored the performances of somebody like a Saurav Ganguly, who served really well and brought in the culture of winning foreign test matches outside India. And I had one question that how do you see that the obsession of Pakistanis around those 17 and 18-year-old kids as fast bowlers? How do you see that? Because in India, I think so, we have seen that when a bowler comes onto the scene, bursts onto the scene, we have seen that he usually goes to the IPL cricket, or he performs well in domestic cricket. We only saw an example like somebody like a Natarajan, who just came on the basis of one IPL performance, and he has also done well. So how do you see that?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, India are up here at the moment and Pakistan are about down here. Whereas before, maybe it was a bit more even, or Pakistan may have been in front, but at the moment, India are a much stronger outfit.
Pakistan, I think, yes.
Yeah, a much stronger outfit in all three formats, for sure, a stronger team. But I do agree with you. I think the issue with Pakistan is we see someone who's bowling quite quick in domestic cricket, and we just think, okay, let's pick them because they can do a good job. Because actually, it doesn't matter, because they think the pitches in Pakistan are quite flat. So if we take them to England, to New Zealand, well, the pitches are better for bowlers, right? So surely they'll perform really well there. That's what they're thinking. But what they don't realize is that they're inexperienced and they haven't actually been in those conditions regularly. So they're not able to adapt to them properly. And yes, the conditions are good for bowlers, but only if you know how to utilize them correctly. And unfortunately, someone like Naseem Shah wasn't able to do it in New Zealand. He bowled quite well in England, but in New Zealand, he couldn't do it. And it showed his inexperience. Whereas someone like Shaheen Afridi has had a little bit more experience now. So he bowled quite a bit better than him. And again, for him, it was a steep learning curve, because I remember him playing against South Africa 2 years ago in South Africa, and him getting smashed everywhere. And a similar thing's happening to Naseem Shah now. I think we need to be careful, and you need to have a good blend. So India at the moment have got quite a good blend. So they have Bumrah, obviously, has now become experienced, but they've got Umesh Yadav, Ishant Sharma, Mohammad Shami. They're experienced bowlers and have been around, and they've had experience in lots of different countries. But as you said, then they can bring in one player like Natarajan, who's played in the IPL. He's a bit younger, a bit more inexperienced, but it doesn't matter because he's one player amongst more experienced players. So if it doesn't work out, there's not a lot of pressure on him. But unfortunately, someone like Naseem Shah, there's a lot of pressure on him to deliver, because really, apart from him, you've got Shaheen Afridi. Mohammad Abbas is experienced, but he hasn't bowled that well this series. And then the spinner, we dropped our main spinner for the second match. So you're really looking at two bowlers, and Pakistan need to be careful about how they develop their youngsters. And we don't want a situation where, for example, we play someone and then, like Naseem Shah, and then he gets dropped, and then we never see him for another 10 years, like what happened with Fawad Alam. So it's a balancing act, and you need to have a blend between youth and experience. And some teams are doing it better than others. New Zealand is a very good example. Like Carl Jameson, how good was he in the New Zealand series? Right? Amazing. Such a good start to his career. And the reason why is because he's got Trent Boult and he's got Tim Southey opening up, and they don't put pressure on him, and then he can come in, and after the good work they've done, he can then clean up. And that's what he does. He comes in and he can do all sorts. And if you put someone like Naseem Shah, for example, he's not as good as Carl Jameson, but if you put him into that side, that New Zealand side, I guarantee you he'll perform better and get wickets. But the issue is Pakistan haven't built that core of experience, and or they haven't picked players with that experience to make sure that there's less pressure on youngsters. So I agree with you. I think we do have an obsession with it, and you can pick young players, but you have to pick them at the right times and make sure that they are protected well enough as well, and they have experienced players among them who can help them, and there's not loads of pressure on them to perform. So that was a good question. Sorry, that was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be.
No problem. Faizan, there is always a question regarding that Kane Williamson. That Kane Williamson performance are such that it is an exceptional performance. So do you think that Kane Williamson has entered the leagues of Virat Kohli and Steven Smith in Test cricket, because he bats at number 3 when the ball swings, and in New Zealand conditions he has performed better than all these two, Steve Smith and Virat Kohli. So how do you rate them?
Yeah, I think he's number 1 Test batsman for a reason at the moment. He is just quality. Look, I think he's definitely up there. So I think before this series, the only person who had a better average than him since 2019, the start of 2019, was Bob Razum, who had an average of, I think, 60-something. But now after 65, but now after this series, Kane Williamson has an average of 67 since 2019. Obviously, last year, Kohli and Steve Smith didn't have particularly good years in Test cricket. I think Kohli averaged 17 and Steve Smith 18, which by their standards, as you say, they are the top elite batsmen. So it's disappointing for them. But obviously, Steve Smith's come back with 100 yesterday or today. And Kane Williamson is just showing, instead of that little dip, he didn't have a dip. He just kept going, and he's kept going. And he scored a 200 against Pakistan. He scored a 200 against West Indies. This guy is just very, very underrated, I think. I think he was always up there with those two, But I think because he doesn't talk as much, there's not a lot of hype around him. Whereas countries like Australia and India, they're seen as the bigger countries. I think that's what I think a lot of more cricket fans will know about them. Whereas Kane Williamson's quieter, they don't know as much about him. But look at New Zealand at the moment. They are going through a golden generation. 2 World Cup finals, very unlucky, I think, especially in the last one. And #1 Test nation, and they're on the upright. They're looking to make sure that they get that Lord's final, and they most likely are going to get it. And Kane Williamson is a massive part of that. Very good captain, and batting at 3 is a lot harder because, as you say, if someone gets an early wicket in the first over, you're pretty much facing the new ball. You are facing the new ball, and the conditions are tougher. So I just think he is a very, very good, not just good, he's a very, very great batsman. He is a great batsman, and he'll go down amongst Kohli and Smith as one of the greats of the generation for sure.
So actually, a couple of days back, I saw really interesting stuff about Kyle Jameson. So actually, he was selected as a proper batsman in the Under-19 World Cup in 2014. So I think that is the greatest thing which I've seen. Like if a player comes in like a New Zealand system, so he's there from 2014, and now it is 2020. So he's come into the system, I think so, after 4 to 5 years. So they have given him a proper chance to become, like, I think he's become a proper all-rounder now, especially in tests. So I think you need to give your players a lot more time to express their talent, and then you can take them into the international side, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. I think young players, as you said, Kyle Jameson, they've brought him in and they've nurtured him in the right way, and that's why he's performing so well. Of course, he's put in a lot of work. They say that he's one of the hardest workers they've seen in the gym, and you can tell he's in very good shape, and also he works very hard. I have to say, actually, as a bowler, so I'm a batsman myself. I play for a club here in the UK, and as a batsman, I wouldn't know what to do with Kyle Jameson because he's 6'8", he's so tall, so he gets a lot of bounce, but he doesn't just get a lot of bounce. He can swing the ball in, he can swing the ball away, he can seam the ball in and out as well. So he can pretty much do everything. And if he can continue to do that, he will be, I mean, if he doesn't get injured and he continues to do that, I don't know how many wickets he'll get, but he will get a lot and he'll go down as a really, really good bowler for sure. It's the start of his career, so really exciting. But look, I mean, he is, in my opinion, the most in-form test bowler at the moment, and probably the best on form anyway.
Yeah, and then I agree with you, but with regards to Pakistan, there's always been question regarding Haris Sohail, because he's a very good white ball player. I agree with that, but with regards to his red ball form, his technique is not right. He was playing the offside balls, and that is fourth stump line. He was consistently playing those fourth stump line balls. So how do you think assess him? Is he a future for red ball format, or do you think that they have to try someone else if Babar Azam is unfit?
Yeah, it's really difficult. So obviously Babar Azam was injured because of his thumb, so he was a big miss for Pakistan. But Haris Sohail, it's weird because, you know, when he was a bit younger, before he had a very big injury and he was out for about 1.5 to 2 years. But before that, I remember watching him and thinking he's such a classical batsman and he's almost perfect for Test cricket. And when you see him play white ball cricket, he still plays pretty much traditional shots. He's not going to play like A.B. de Villiers or Joss Buttler. He doesn't play paddles and reverse sweeps. That's not his game. He's power, but also he's got good technique, right? But you're right, in Test cricket, he doesn't seem to know where his off stump is, unfortunately. And he wafts outside off stump quite a bit. And I think the issue with him is he tries to play at too many balls and he likes to feel the bat on ball, basically. And unfortunately for him, he's been in very bad form. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do drop him. And I don't think, for me, it's not a bad decision. I wouldn't, either way, I think he's probably got one more series to prove himself. If he doesn't, then I'd be surprised if he carries on. He does have the skill and ability, but I think it's mindset. And cricket, if I'm honest with you, as a batsman, 85% of it is your mentality and mentally how you're feeling, how you're going to approach a bowler, approach the game. And because if you switch off for 1 second, you're out. And that's what will happen. And you know, that's what happens with him, I think. His attention isn't quite there every single ball. And then he goes into a little bit of, you know, old habits where he'll think, okay, that ball, if I'm in the nets, I can just drive at that. But what he needs to think is the conditions I'm in New Zealand, Carl Jameson's running at me. If it's on a 4-stump line, I need to leave the ball. I need to get across properly, but he wasn't doing that. And he just looked a bit static. So there's massive question marks around him, whether he's a red ball player. I think personally, I would like him to do well because I think he's got the ability, but it remains to be seen. I think maybe he's got one more series to prove himself.
Yeah, thanks Faizan for joining
Yes,
us.
I just had
Mansoor.
one question related to Shoaib Akhtar. He said that if I'd be given the opportunity for 3 months, I will change the entire cricket system of Pakistan. So do you think that a thing like this can happen, or people, Pakistani legends saying these things, especially on YouTube? Do you think that's why we have seen lots of Pakistani legends getting chance in the PCB and doing the job? So do you think a thing like this can happen?
No, is the short answer. I think his intentions are probably really good. He probably thinks, you know, I can come in and I can go bang, 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 you know, get everything sorted. And you know what? That's it. It's all, you know, everything's great. But the issue is unfortunately, Pakistan inherently, the structure of the cricket, not just cricket at high level, but at domestic level, needs to be improved and restructured a little bit. I'm pretty sure, so correct me if I'm wrong, but at India, they had a restructuring. They have been progressively improving and restructuring at not just elite level, but grassroots level and domestic level. Pakistan haven't invested as much in that. And that's the issue. And that's why we are picking players who are 18 years old, who look really good, but they haven't been developed in the correct way. Money is a factor as well. I can't lie to you. I mean, there's a lot more money, for example, here in the UK with the ECB, even with you guys with the BCCI. The Pakistan Cricket Board doesn't have as much, but I think they need to be clever in the way that they utilize the money. And unfortunately, they haven't done it as of yet. I was quite happy when Mickey Arthur was there. I thought he did a very good job, and I was really disappointed that we didn't carry on with him. But yeah, I think Shoaib Akhtar is a very good character. He's a good character to have in cricket. Some of his opinions, I agree with them. Some of them I don't, and that's just how it goes. But yeah, I think his intentions are good, but he's probably a little bit too rough for some of the players. They might get upset if he was the coach, I think.
To add Faizan, I would say that he said that he will bowl Mohammad Abbas 140 kph. That is, I
wow. I tell you what, if he can get Mohammad Abbas to bowl 140 kilometers per hour and bowl the same line and length, he will be the best bowler in the world. I'm not even joking. He will be, seriously, if he can keep his accuracy and bowl 140 kilometers per hour, he will be the best bowler in the world. So I'm happy for him to come and do that. That would be great.
But
then every batsman will get out like Ben Stokes, like the way he did.
They don't like that.
Yeah.
Like the way he did Mohammad Abbas to Ben Stokes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it seems like a joke because if you see that Bhuvaneshwar Kumar is a bowler who from 125 km per hour he became a 140 km per hour bowler. So it took 2 years to him. So I think that with regards to Mohammad Abbas' speed, it cannot be turned overnight. At least he will need some period of time to get a speed. And as you said that if he gets that much speed, I think he will be one of the dangerous bowlers outside the UAE conditions, because in UAE he is successful, but outside UAE he has been unsuccessful. So thanks Faizan for joining us. You are giving your time, precious time, and do subscribe Faizan's channel Qualityshot. The link is in description. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for being on. Well, for having me on even. I'm so used to having people on my channel that I'm used to saying that. But no, thank you so much, both of you. Really enjoyed being on and love the questions. And I'm sure, you know, you guys are really happy because India are in a very, very good place at the moment. And as a Pakistani fan, I'm a bit upset, but I'm sure we'll get back at some point. But no, it's really good talking cricket with you guys again. Thank you so much for having me on. And guys, please make sure you subscribe to Cricket Fan Corner if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you very much, guys. I hope to do it again soon.